All right, guys, welcome to the show. Today on the show, I have someone by the name of Lori Cheek, and she's here to talk about her website that's actually a interesting kind of intuitive dating website called Cheeked. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you.
So thanks for being here. I guess you kind of want to talk about your website, talk about how this all got started, and how this all came to be.
Yeah, so I'm from Kentucky, and 18 years ago I tossed up my hat and left architecture school to move to New York City to be a famous architect. And I practiced architecture for 15 years, and one night I was out to dinner with another architect. And I had excused myself from the table, and when I came back, he'd scribbled on the back of his business card, "Want to have dinner?" And as he and I were leaving the restaurant, he slid that card to a woman, and I remember looking back thinking, whoa, did he just do what I think he did? Which I thought was such a smooth, kind of non-intrusive gesture
Yeah.
to tell this woman that he wanted to see her again. But what I didn't like was the other information on the other side of that business card, which was his business details. It's basically like handing someone your LinkedIn resume to go on a date, and it has your address and everything. And with the power of Google, you could be at that person's door in a matter of minutes. So I just started brainstorming about a privacy-protected way to hand someone a business card, but for dating. And 1 year later, I discovered Cheeked was the answer. So now you can go on to Cheeked.com and buy a deck of Cheek cards. So there's 50 cards in this deck.
Yep.
And on one side, the card says you've been cheeked. So if you see a cute guy or a cute girl in the subway or an elevator and the doors are getting ready to close, you can slip them a cheek card. And on the other side, there's an ice-breaking pickup line, such as "act natural, we can get awkward later," or "I dare you," or even "I just put all my drinks on your tab," and hopefully that person has a sense of humor when they receive that
Read it.
card.
Yeah.
So then there's a URL and a unique code that leads to a privacy-protected online dating profile on the Cheeked website where the recipient can reconnect with you again without either party handing any personal information away. So I've created this tool that allows you to meet people in the real world, unlike online dating. So that's kind of how it happened. So you can go onto the website and buy a deck of the cards. So they come in a pack of 50 for $20.
Okay.
And you can customize the cards to say whatever you want for $5 more. And your first month subscription is included. And then it's $9.95 a month after the first month to keep the codes on the card activated to your profile.
Okay. So basically, if I were to sign up, I get that first month free. I order a deck of cards, and then I would have the capability, if it was me, I would go out, I saw someone I was, interested in connecting with without, making it very intrusive. I could slip it to them or, make it easy. And instead of asking for a phone number, I could just, like you said, slip it under, leave it as I'm taking off or something like that, and just say, hey, check this out, and then they would be able to go to the website. They could enter the code. And then at that point, is it up to me to give them the capability to communicate back and forth? Would they have to sign up for a membership as well, or?
They don't have to pay anything, and they just can put a picture on, or they don't even have to put a picture. A lot of the people that I've given cards to, they end up writing, "Oh, you gave me this on the A train yesterday morning," so you kind of know who it was. But the profile takes like 2 minutes to fill out, so it's most of the time people end up uploading a picture. And the cards are also numbered like a checkbook, so if you pay attention to which line you gave, which you usually would, or the last two numbers on the card, you can track who viewed your profile. So like I've cheeked a lot of celebrities, and the ones that have viewed me are Stephen Baldwin, Kiefer Sutherland, Willem Dafoe, Uma Thurman, Timothy Hutton, and a bunch more. John Mayer.
Wow.
Anyway, it's
That's
just
really
fun
cool.
to know who's checking you out.
So I mean, when they go to look at your profile, are you kind of giving them the option like of what it is that they're gonna see about you? Like, could you have your phone number there for them to contact you if you chose to?
You can, but we set up the questions where it's meant to stay privacy protected, but you can put
Right.
whatever you want in it, and if you want to hand out your personal information, that's fine too. And I mean, aside from privacy protected, I look at these cards as just like a playful ice-breaking tool, and there are lots of fun ways that you can hand them out. Like one day there was a guy reading a book in the subway, and he's looking down. I mean, he and I would have never made eye contact, but I slid
Mhm.
one of these cards into the crease of his book, and he looked up and he ended up writing me a message. He was reading Dune, and like I put them in people's back pockets a lot, and I get these messages like, I don't know how these ended up in my underwear, and I'm like, I don't know how that happened either. But and another time, some guy had a cocktail in his hand, and he was in this argument with his friend. I mean, like a heated, fun argument. And I slid one of the cards on top of his cocktail when he wasn't looking, and finally he started to take a drink of it, and there was the card. So, I mean, there's just, you can make it fun, so it's not just like creepily handing somebody this thing and walking away. Like, I recommend doing it with a wink or a smile so somebody knows that what you're up to, kind of.
Right, don't do it too, like, mysteriously to, like, freak people out or anything like that. So now, how long have you been running the site?
So we launched it in May of 2010, so it's about 3.5 years old.
Okay. Now, how many members? I know that, like, you have, like, a counter on the site. Is that a live counter? Is that, like, real? Or?
That might not be actually accurate, but...
Yeah, that's what I was like, But no, I wanted, like, how many members do you have now after that amount of time?
Yeah, so we're in 47 states in America and 28 countries internationally, and we're nearing about 10,000 members.
Wow.
And, I mean, the interesting thing is you don't have to depend on a community of users for this to work. So there could be one person in Shanghai that's using this, and it still works. So it's not like a Match.com where you're searching nearby.
Right, right. You could really have, like, people from anywhere using this and then connecting with those codes.
Yeah, and when I initially launched the site, I thought this is going to be great for urban cities, which are clearly our best sold spots. But whenever I get an order, I pull out the map and I see where they're coming from. And I just recently got an order from Washington State, and I kept scrolling the map out, and I'm like, this guy's in the forest. Like, you just never know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going on a trip, or maybe there's a cute Indian girl in the woods that he wants to give a cheat card to.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's working for people all over the place, which I've never had any idea.
So, I mean, have you found that there's it's kind of odd to me. I don't know if maybe I found it, like, before, but it's almost like I feel like I've heard of something like this before. Have you found that there's, like, any competition for anything like this out there?
I mean, I've been copied by several sites, and actually I feel sorry for them making this effort because it's been a huge struggle. But, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's quite been as successful. I feel like I was the pioneer of this concept. And the closest competition that I'd say we have is Craigslist Misconnection, and this is kind of the answer to that.
Right.
I mean, this is like a real-life dating tool, so I don't feel like I'm really competing with online dating sites because this is just another alternative to shopping for people online. And I always say, like, I bought one pair of shoes on Zappos once in my size, 7.5. They were great, and they got to me, and they didn't fit. So just like shopping for people online, when that thing shows up, it most likely, you've got a 50% chance that it'll fit.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I mean, I know before we started, I mentioned I used to, I don't know if I want to say, like, sadly, but I used to use a lot of online dating myself. Like, that was just kind of, I remember discovering the whole idea of being able to use, like, one guy let me import his entire AOL Instant Messenger chat list, and it had all these women on it, and I was, like, something like, I don't know how old at the time, maybe 15 or 16. I was always shy growing up, so it was like, to me, I was like, oh my God, I can communicate with all these women, and I don't have to be like, I was
you don't
like,
have to leave your house.
Yeah, and it was like, I remember that being so exciting for me, and that was like how I ended up on, like, one of my first dates and things like that, from just chatting with one of these women, like, from a mutual friend, basically over the internet. And, like, I always learned to, like, leverage that, and then I guess in a way I got better and better and became more myself. And obviously I know for a fact that a lot of guys online can be pretty shady about how they go about things. And I mean, I know you admitted yourself that even being on Match.com, it was probably overwhelming. But for me, I always felt like if I was just being myself, then it was easier. But on your point, anytime I'd meet someone, they were always, there was times when I'd meet some people and I was like, oh my God, I know one girl was nothing like what she described, and I just didn't want to be there at all. Like, the whole date was just really awkward, like, and I'm not, like, the kind of person that I'm going to be rude and just, like try to, be like hand it off and get rid of them, but I definitely ran into that all the time where I'd meet these women and they just were nothing what I expected. So I like the idea of this because it's going to make it easier for people to break the ice and kind of get that without making it too intriguing. I know for a lot of women too, like they might not want to hand out a phone number, and this might be an easier way to kind of like break the ice and give them that opportunity to think about it.
Well, I always say, like in a morning commute in New York City, you're passing these handsome and good-looking people in the morning in the subway, and people just don't talk in the subway, or if you do, you're like a crazy person. So I look at this as like the subtle way of saying hey, and the fate is left into their hands, and there's no rejection there. Like maybe that person's gay or married or just not interested, but all you have to do is lose this little piece of paper.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Do you know that if anyone uses, like from your knowledge, if they use it outside of like dating, if they use it for any other method? I mean, obviously most people, if they were handing out a card for a business or something, I would assume they would just put all the information on it.
So I was a keynote speaker at my entrepreneur festival at my university, I guess a year and a half ago, and I had entrepreneur cards printed that said things like I have an idea or invest in me, so you could slip the cards to an investor or something, or someone in a networking event.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now the site's set up for dating, but yeah, I've had a lot of people just hand them just for the fun of it because the cards say funny things on them. And even in my journey through building this, I've handed these cards to thousands and thousands of people, and I've met up with a lot of the people that have sent me messages. I mean, I just had to go through the process and make it work, and I was single before, and I have lots of friends that will be friends of mine forever from handing them cards, just total strangers. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, so I guess I really wanted to talk about like how you've gone about kind of marketing this beyond obviously going out in public. I know I watched one of your YouTube videos that you had, and you're basically just standing out with a few other people, and you guys are wearing like your shirts, and you're just handing the cards out to strangers, and they're kind of like confused, and But like, how have you gone about kind of marketing the whole brand and getting this out there?
Yeah, so I think I've gotten known in New York City as guerrilla marketing bulldozer. So, I mean, with my background in architecture, I'm a creative person. I may not be like the best business savvy, but I've been very creative about how I've marketed my business. And even after launch, I thought, okay, great, I've got this beautiful website. How am I going to tell the world about this? So I put one of these black cards in an envelope and sent it to 20 of the major editors in New York City. And one of them was from the New York Times, and it seems like 3 weeks later we were covered on the style section of the New York Times, and it said, "Move over, Match.com. This is the next generation of online dating." So there was nothing else in that envelope. That article crashed my website. I got emails from all over the world with people asking, how do I get my hands on some of these cards? At the time, we weren't set up for an international shopping cart. So I had to immediately get that taken care of, and then I emailed everybody back that was interested in other countries and started getting orders all over the world. And a few days later, I got a call from Oprah Winfrey's studio wanting a deck of the cards. Wow. We never made it on the show, but it just goes to show that one little marketing trick I did led to, I mean, it changed the course of my business. And since then, I've just, every holiday I have different cards made up. Like for Christmas, I have them that says, "I'll bring the mistletoe." And for Halloween, I have them that say "boo." And like I even dressed up as life-size cheat cards with two of my friends, and we marched in the Halloween parade handing these Halloween cards out. And I mean, just the nice thing is this is paper,
Right.
And there's something intriguing on it. So to market it, I've just plastered these cards everywhere I go. When I travel, I drop them on counters, and I stick them to the subway windows, and I get messages from people that say, "I found your card stuck to the 9 train this morning. Who are you?" So, I mean, I'm just leaving a trail of these, and I take every opportunity to speak. I take every opportunity to pitch. I just got back from Las Vegas and spoke in front of hundreds of women at the Women 2.0 conference, and it's a great way of reaching a bigger audience. And usually half those people are single, And even for the people that are in relationships, I tell them Cheeked will be around when the relationship doesn't work out.
Right, right.
So I just went to Dublin for the Web Summit, which is like the Lamborghini of tech festivals. And I put these angel wings on. And I mean, I wore my typical Cheeked uniform, which is very New York. And and it was 15 men per each woman there. So I kind of stood out. But in the end, I found myself on the national news in Ireland. And when I was checking out of my hotel, I looked down at the front desk and I was on the cover of the Irish Times. And then I opened up and there was like a huge color picture of me in my wings working on my laptop. So I just think the marketing lesson I've learned is to stand out, do unique things, think outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got a bike sharing program here by City Bike, and I had a bunch of these cards printed that says "My bike likes your bike," and I'm sticking them in every single bike. And I ride City Bike all over town, and every morning at every dock, I put these cards in the basket so people find them, and they send me messages like, "I got your card on my bike. Want to get a drink?"
It's probably a little overwhelming, I'm sure, at this point if you're handing out that many cards.
Yeah, I mean, but it's fun. People are funny. Like they write funny things. I crack up half the time.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. So, I mean, in terms of like online, have you done anything with like social media or, I know obviously you were able to kind of get some like news publicity you said from this initial like, mailing these out to some of these major editors, but are you doing anything with like social media to kind of market this or anything along those lines?
Yeah, so it's mainly me running this business, and it's difficult to do it all, but I do run our Facebook and Twitter. Even I've made efforts to see what we can do with Pinterest and Instagram, and we've got a Tumblr blog. I'm just right now installing a WordPress blog on the site, which I feel a little behind, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to start blogging and doing some SEO experiments, and I'm hoping to raise a little bit of money, and then I'm going to try some affiliate marketing, which I think will be a good option for a dating business.
For
but
sure.
That's going to cost a little bit to get started.
I know that even in the like kind of make money online niche, there's a lot of people that talk about how powerful just using ads on sites like Plenty of Fish can be, because some of the they can target people for dating offers, and there's all kinds of different dating offers that are out there where people, could submit an email and make a couple bucks. So for them to put up these banner ads on something like Plenty of Fish where it's got so much traffic and so many people that would be targeted towards an offer like that, it's such a huge opportunity for people to market, and you could really make a lot of money doing something like that if you were offering ad space and you had that kind of audience.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I bootstrapped my business for 3.5 years now, so I got to think about where every dime goes.
Yeah. So now, do you do this full time then?
Yeah. So soon after that New York Times article, I realized I had a real business model on my hands, and I think I quit about 5 months after we launched.
Quit your full-time job.
Yeah. I remember calling my parents, telling them I was quitting architecture, and they were silent. Anyway,
that's
I think they're proud of me now. Like, they've seen where I've gone with this, and
right.
I have an international small business.
Yeah, they probably, I would think even at first they might have been a little more like nervous whether or not it was really going in the right direction, and I would think I would probably be more worried of some of these other, like how difficult would it be for something like a company like Match or Plenty of Fish to go just design something and then implement it into their site.
Well, the beauty is I just got a patent. I have a utility patent after 4 years of waiting for it on the code and pickup line tracking process. So, I think that makes it
you
difficult.
kind of,
yeah.
Yeah, and it'll put them in a much harder position to kind of duplicate this.
Right.
That's awesome. So that's going to give you a huge plus if, and this kind of is like, I really feel that for a lot of people it's come down to, like, I knew for me, just being younger, like going into a bar and having things be so loud that you can't even have like a conversation in some points, and to be able to do something a little more fun and unique like this by handing someone a card, it might be a lot, be definitely a lot easier to break the ice or make things interesting,
Well, I've definitely had my share of fun with them.
Yeah. Now, I know that there was something else I was going to ask. I know. Now, have you? Now, you said that you just manage it yourself. Do you have any other employees? I know, like in some of your videos, you had people like, are they just helping you out, or do they actually like help you market and work with the company as well, or is it all you?
Yeah, so I recently hired some part-time interns. We meet like twice a week for 3 hours a day, and they're the ones that were helping me in our little stunt in Union Square. And I mean, they're lots of fun, and it's great to have kind of a younger brain around me sometimes. And they know where all the hip kids are going in New York City,
Yeah.
and it's brought a fresh mind to what I'm doing, and I've just been so infused in it for so long. It's nice to have someone new around, and I have a web developer that's I'm outsourcing him right now, but I'm hoping to bring him on as a CTO, which is one thing I've been dreaming of having since day one.
Right. Now you're gonna be basically you're the CEO, and then now you're gonna be bringing on the other people and
Yeah.
helping you kind of keep the business going without actually having to do the work yourself.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what else was I going to ask? I had a few other questions. So, I mean, where do you kind of see your business going, like in the future? Like, where do you plan to take this? Is there any other ideas you're looking at to maybe expand on, beyond obviously promotion and blogging and things like that?
Yeah, so what I've done now is I've built a brand. I've built a lifestyle brand where you're meeting people in the real world. And I mean, I've done many events, but I realized I could start taking the business to another level and creating like real life mixers, which I kind of hate that word, but
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of have a hip brand, and we could make kind of a singles event more fun and sounding less desperate. And I'm getting ready to launch an iPhone app before the end of the year where you'll be able to flip through the people nearby, and you'll also be able to flip through your cheat cards, your virtual cheat cards, and flip them to someone, and that'll be the ice-breaking card, but via your handheld.
So with the iPhone app, like how would that work exactly? Would you see other people in the area that have cards? Like how is that all going to work with the cards now?
So with the app, you'll be able to check out who gave you a physical card. You'll be able to
Okay.
purchase physical cards, or you
Yep.
can get free cards virtually, and whoever else has the app, you'll be able to look for them nearby, and we'll have an age and be able to filter it by male to female, and then you can even customize your own virtual card. So if you want to say something like, I love your eyes, you could flip that to someone. And uh, right now, I think we're going to give you 5 cards for free, and you can upload more for $5 if you want to get reloaded with your cards. And we'll give you 5 new each month.
So kind of give people a little bit of a trial so they can try it out and see if they like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the idea of the app too. I mean, obviously, if you get some traction with that, I mean, that could really really blow up and then take your business to a whole other level, obviously.
Well, I think it's fun because the cards, they say these funny things on them. So it's kind of, you're making someone laugh, which
Yeah,
I think is really important in an initial
for sure.
introduction.
For sure. Yeah, that's that's awesome. I like the idea of the app. I know I've seen some things like that where I know there's other apps that have like, it can detect other people running the application in the area and things like that, which might make it, interesting to be able to still have that like privacy level and then give people the capability to kind of start those introductions with people just for fun.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, I figured we could wrap this up. I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to share.
If anyone wants to try cheap, they can use the code word TECH, T-E-C-H, for 50% off their card orders.
Sure, I'll put a link in the show notes, and anyone that might be interested in checking this out. This will definitely be one of the more interesting interviews I've done, just because it's a little bit different than a lot of the other niches and things that I've discussed with people. But I thought the idea of you being able to take this from kind of like an idea and turn it into something that is obviously now like a thriving full-time business was pretty interesting. So.
It's changed my life.
Yeah, especially in the whole dating niche. It's such a competitive thing online. I see people like trying to create these dating sites all the time, and they're just doing the same thing everyone else is doing. So you really kind of got like this unique spin on it.
Well, keep your fingers crossed for me. I've got big plans.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on the show, Lori.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.